Hello and welcome to Ada TV News Update. I'm Adewale Olashekwa. We begin with the headlines. Federal government launches alliance to drive Nigeria's economy beyond oil and gas. Global tourism leaders meet in Nairobi to tackle climate and industry risks. South Sudan delivers first DAR blend oil cargo to BB Energy amid legal dispute. First direct Oman Somalia flights to launch in September 2026. Away from Africa, Russia-Ukraine peace talks end without breakthrough. In business, UK inflation falls to 3.0% in January. In health, Kenya to roll out HIV prevention shots in March. And in sports, FIFA verdict may reinstate Super Eagle, but World Cup place not guaranteed. Now the news in full. Nigeria's federal government today launched the Nigeria Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance Fund program, a two-year initiative aimed at assessing risks and opportunities in the country's changing energy landscape while supporting long-term economic diversification in rural communities. The program was unveiled at an event organized by the Nigerian Council on Climate Change in partnership with the Africa Policy Research Institute and the Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Atiku Bagudu said diversification must be environmentally responsible and driven by science, technology and local industries such as agriculture and fishing. Officials say the initiative will help Nigeria create jobs and pursue sustainable growth while reducing dependence on oil revenues and supporting the country's transition towards a greener energy future. In other news, global tourism leaders gathered in Nairobi from Sunday to today for the 4th Global Tourism Resilience Day Conference and Expo, bringing together ministers, researchers and industry executives to address the sector's growing vulnerability to climate change, geopolitical tensions and economic uncertainty. Discussions focused on shifting tourism from crisis response to long-term resilience through climate-adaptive infrastructure, digital transformation, diversified tourism products, and stronger cross-border policy coordination. Leaders said the industry must move from bouncing back to building forward. Officials say Africa's growing role in global tourism governance was highlighted even as the continent faces challenges including poor air connectivity, high travel costs, visa barriers, and limited infrastructure, which continue to slow regional tourism growth. And now to South Sudan. The country has delivered its first cargo of about 600,000 barrels of Dar blend crude to BB Energy under a $100 million repayment plan signed in prepayment plan, I beg your pardon, deal signed in 2024. The shipment marks the start of a repayment plan agreed between the government and the energy trader. The delivery comes despite an ongoing legal dispute in the United Kingdom, where BB Energy filed a claim in November 2025 over alleged non-compliance with delivery terms. A London court had temporarily blocked the sale of a disputed cargo, but later lifted the injunction after reviewing the case. The main lawsuit remains pending, with a possible trial later in 2026 if both sides fail to reach a final agreement. Meanwhile, officials say discussions are continuing to complete the broader delivery schedule. In other news, Oman-based airline Salam Air has announced it will launch the first non-stop flights between Muscat and Mogadishu from 3rd September 2026. The twice-weekly service will operate using Airbus A320 aircraft and marks the first direct air link between Oman and Somalia. Airline officials say the new route is part of Salam Air's expansion into East Africa and aligns with Oman Vision 2040 goals to boost connectivity, tourism, trade, and economic diversification. Somalia becomes the third East African destination in airlines network after Kenya and Sudan. The new connection is expected to cut travel time and cost, strengthen trade and business ties, and make travel easier for the Somali diaspora in the Gulf. Industry observers say the route will support growth in the sectors such as agriculture, fisheries, and light manufacturing while improving cargo and passenger movement between the Gulf and the Horn of Africa. We'll go on a quick break now. The news continues when we return. Now the rest of the news. Away from Africa, talks involving Russia and Ukraine and the United States aimed at ending the war in Ukraine have concluded in Geneva without a major breakthrough. The two-day negotiations were described as difficult by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian negotiators, although officials said discussions were business-like and further meetings are expected soon. Diplomatic sources say some progress was made on military issues such as ceasefire monitoring and the location of the front line. However, the key dispute over territory remains unresolved, with Moscow insisting a full control of the Donbas region, a demand Kyiv continues to reject. Ukraine says surrendering the territory would threaten its sovereignty and future security. The war, now nearing its fourth year since the full-scale invasion ordered by Russia's President Vladimir Putin, has caused tens of thousands of casualties and displaced millions. Negotiators say further talks will continue as efforts to reach a lasting peace remain ongoing. Now to business. The United Kingdom annual inflation rate fell to 3.0% in January, down from 3.4% in December, according to official data released today. The drop was driven partly by lower petrol prices in markets, marks the lowest level since March last year. The figures have strengthened expectations that the Bank of England could cut interest rates next month after keeping its benchmark rate at 3.75% earlier this month, while signaling further reductions ahead. Despite the ease in inflation, the economy remains weak. The employment at a five-year high of 5.2% and growth forecast downgraded. Officials say inflation is expected to move closer to 2% target in the coming months. Now to health news. Kenya says it will begin rolling out a new HIV prevention drug in early March across 15 priority regions. The twice-yearly drug, Lenacapavir, has been shown to reduce the risk of HIV transmission by more than 99.9%. The country received its first batch of 21,000 doses yesterday through a partnership with Gilead Sciences and the Global Fund, with another 12,000 doses expected by April. The United States has also pledged an additional 25,000 doses. The rollout comes as Eastern and Southern Africa accounts for about 52% of the world's 40.8 million people living with HIV. Kenya says the program forms part of wider health cooperation under a $2.5 billion bilateral health aid agreement with the United States. And now to sport news. Nigeria's Super Eagles could be reinstated into the World Cup qualification, but officials say this would not guarantee a place at the tournament. The warning came today from the chairman of the Federal Capital Territory Football Association, Mohammed Adam Mukhtar, as Nigeria awaits a ruling on its protest over the eligibility of several Democratic Republic of Congo national football team players. FIFA had promised a decision on Monday, February 16, but the verdict has yet to be released. Mukhtar says a favorable ruling could return Nigeria to the qualification pathway, though the team would still need to earn a place at the tournament on the pitch. Possible outcomes include the annulment of the disputed match and a 3-0 victory awarded to Nigeria, or the disqualification of Democratic Republic of Congo from the qualification process. Officials say the decision could set a major precedent on compliance and player eligibility in African football. That is all we have for you on Idea Television News Updates, but before we go, here is a recap of the headline. Federal government launches alliance to drive Nigeria's economy beyond oil and gas. Global tourism leaders meet in Nairobi to tackle climate and industry risks. South Sudan delivers first Dar blend oil cargo to BB Energy amid legal dispute. Force directs Oman Somalia flights to launch in September 2026. Away from Africa, Russia-Ukraine peace talks end without breakthrough. In business, UK inflation falls to 3.0% in January. In health, Kenya to roll out HIV prevention shot in March. Lastly, in sports, FIFA verdicts may reinstate Super Eagles, but World Cup place not guaranteed. That's all we have for now. Do not forget to follow us across our social media platforms at Television. I am Adewale Olashopo. Thank you for watching.